The Miami Dolphins didn't just hire a new general manager on Friday morning. They hired a man to walk into a burning building and put out the fire with a garden hose. Jon-Eric Sullivan is officially the guy in charge, but the absolute disaster of a salary cap situation and the roster mess he has inherited from the previous regime is nothing short of a nightmare. Before we dive into the 10 players who could save this franchise, do me a massive favor and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you the truth about this team. Let's just be real for a second about what Sullivan is walking into. We are staring down the barrel of negative $26 million in cap space. Negative. That is a hole so deep you can't just draft your way out of it. We know they aren't going to stay there. Obviously, the math has to math, but the pain required to get back to even is going to be excruciating. We are talking about massive contract restructures, uncomfortable extensions, and some brutal, heartbreaking releases. And that brings us to the elephant in the room, the cut candidates. This is where Sullivan earns his paycheck. We all know the biggest domino is the quarterback. Do you cut him pre-June 1st and swallow a historic, franchise-crippling $99 million in dead money? Or do you designate him a post-June 1st cut, taking a $67 million hit spread over 2026 and 2027? It's a lose-lose situation, but one he has to choose. And he can't stop there. You have to look at the massive contracts of Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. I've already flagged 6 different players who might have played their last snap in aqua and orange. If you move on from Tyreek post-June 1st, that's $36 million saved. Bradley Chubb? That frees up over $20 million. Even Austin Jackson, who simply cannot stay on the field to save his life, clears $11.5 million post-June 1st. Then you have the smaller, but still painful, decisions. Guys like Alec Ingold, Tyrell Dodson, Jason Sanders. Cutting them early could scrape together $3 million here, $3 million there. It adds up. But remember, the rules say you can only designate 2 players for that post-June 1st relief. Everyone else, you have to wait until the summer to actually free up that cash. The point is, Sullivan has levers to pull, but every single one of them hurts. He has to clear the deck just to be able to shop in the bargain bin. And that is exactly what this offseason is going to be, bargain hunting. So, with the roster decimated and the checkbook light, who can Sullivan actually bring in? We know the needs. Quarterback is obviously number 1, but are we finding a franchise savior in free agency? Probably not. We need a bridge. Then we need edge rushers, corners, offensive linemen, safeties. Basically, if they play football, we need them. This team isn't 1 player away. They are a dozen players away from even competing. That brings us to our first target, and frankly, it makes too much sense to ignore. Who better to bridge the gap than a guy Sullivan knows inside and out from his time in Green Bay? We are talking about Malik Willis. Now, pause for a second. Is it crazy to think a guy who was written off 2 years ago is now our best option? Malik Willis has quietly reinvented himself. He made himself a lot of money in Week 16 against Chicago. Jordan Love goes down with a concussion early, and Willis steps in and absolutely lights it up. We are talking about a 142.8 quarterback rating and completing over 80% of his passes. He followed that up on Saturday night against the Ravens, and while they lost, he put up gaudy numbers against a tough defense. When you watch the tape from those 2 weeks, you don't see a project anymore. You see a competent, top 32 quarterback in the National Football League. The problem, as always, is the price tag. There are probably 7 or 8 teams desperate for a quarterback this offseason. Some will draft one, some will trade, but Willis is going to have a market. If he commands $15 or $20 million on a short deal, Miami simply cannot afford him. We are priced out. But if the market is cool and he's willing to take a 1-year, $12 million prove-it deal, similar to what we've seen Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold take in the past, then there is serious smoke here. Sullivan knows him, the system fits, and he has the athleticism to survive behind our questionable offensive line. Speaking of quarterbacks, I want to hear from you right now in the comments. Is Malik Willis actually the answer for a year, or would you rather throw the rookie Quinn Ewers into the fire immediately? Let me know below. Let's stay in Green Bay for target number 2, because the Packers connection is going to be a theme with Sullivan in charge. We need edge help badly, and Kingsley Enagbare is a very fascinating name. He hasn't been a superstar for the Packers, but he has been a steady, reliable presence in their rotation for 4 years. He was drafted in 2022, and like clockwork, he puts up 2.5 to 3 sacks a season playing limited snaps as their 3rd or 4th rusher. Because he's a rotation guy, he isn't going to demand a massive bag of cash. We are looking at maybe $5 or $6 million a season. That is the sweet spot for Miami right now. Sullivan was in the room when they drafted him. He knows the work ethic and the talent. Enigbare isn't going to come in and be a 15-sack guy, but he is a professional pass rusher who fits the culture Sullivan wants to build. At that price point, he has a massive shot to be a Dolphin. Target number 3 is another former Sullivan draft pick, and this one is a reclamation project with high upside, Eric Stokes. The former first-round pick out of Georgia signed a one-year deal with the Raiders last year and quietly had a bounce-back season. Sullivan scouted him, drafted him, and knows the elite athletic traits he possesses. We know Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas were solid for us, but can we really afford to bring both of them back? I have a hard time believing the math works. So you bring in Stokes. He is coming off a career year in Vegas where he allowed just a 55% completion rate and a career-best quarterback rating when targeted. He's not the biggest corner, about 6 foot, 6'1", but he can fly. A 2-year deal worth $12 to $15 million feels right. That's a low-risk, high-reward move that secures a starting corner without breaking the bank. Moving to target number 4, let's look at a guy with no direct connection to Sullivan, but someone who has flashed in the division. Nahshon Wright from the Chicago Bears. The former Oregon State corner has had a bit of a renaissance this year. He is still young, and he is the definition of a boom or bust player. He is not going to lock down a number 1 receiver for 60 minutes. He will give up plays. He allowed 7 touchdowns this season, which is ugly. But here is the flip side. He takes the ball away. 5 interceptions this season. He is a ball hawk who jumps routes and takes risks. Sometimes he gets beat on a double move, sure, but this defense needs turnovers. If you need a number 2 corner on a bargain contract who can flip the field for your offense, you can do a lot worse than Nahshon Wright. Number 5 on the list is another swing at upside. We need to find talent that other teams have given up on, and Azeez Ojulari fits that mold perfectly. The former second-round pick had a 6-sack season with the Giants a few years ago, but has completely disappeared with the Eagles this year, appearing in only 3 games. I am going to say this 1,000 times over the next few months. Miami has no money. We have to take swings on distressed assets. Ojulari has the pedigree and the flashes of production. Maybe Sullivan looks at the tape and thinks he can revitalize his career. It's a low-cost lottery ticket, and when you are in cap hell, lottery tickets are sometimes the only way to win. Now, before we get to the offensive line targets, I have a serious question for you guys. We are talking about all these bargain bin players and budget cuts. So, here is the question of the day. If you could only sign 1 premium free agent and it meant losing 2 more key starters to afford him, who is the 1 player in the entire NFL you would break the bank for? Drop the name in the comments. I want to see who you think is worth the sacrifice. All right, let's talk about the trenches, because it is ugly up front. Target number 6 is Braxton Jones from the Chicago Bears. Jones was a starter for 3 years, but lost his job this season to the rookie Ozzie Trapailo out of Boston College. Jones has been solid in the past, PFF grades in the 70s, but he can't stay healthy. That injury history is going to scare a lot of teams away, but that is exactly why Miami should be interested. We aren't signing him to be the savior at left tackle. We are signing him because Austin Jackson might be gone, Larry Borom is a free agent, and Cole Strange is a free agent. We have literally 0 depth. Jones on a 1-year, $5 million deal is a perfect depth piece with starting experience. You hope you don't need him for 17 games, but if you do, he's better than what we have now. Target number 7 is a bit of a dream scenario that might break my heart, Romeo Dew. This is the biggest name on the list, and obviously, the Green Bay connection is strong. But let's be realistic. He is going to get paid. I think he commands double-digit millions, maybe 2 years for 25 or 3 years for 36. Dew isn't a true number 1 receiver, but he is an elite number 2 or a high-end number 3. He is reliable, he has fixed his drop issues, and he is a professional route runner. The problem is, can Miami allocate $12 million a year to a WR2 when the rest of the roster is burning? Probably not. Sullivan loves him, and I expect Miami to make a call, but we will likely get priced out by a team with more cash to burn. Now, I didn't put many of our own free agents on this list because most of them are likely gone. But target number 8 is the one guy I would pound the table to bring back, Greg Dulcich. I know, it sounds crazy to prioritize a tight end when the house is on fire, but hear me out. Since week 8, Dulcich has effectively been the TE1 for this offense. The numbers aren't gaudy, but look at the context. Our passing attack with Quinn Ewers and the backups was non-existent. Despite that, Dulcich showed up. He was a threat in the red zone and showed he can make plays after the catch, which is crucial for this system. We don't know who the head coach or offensive coordinator will be in 2026 yet, but if it's anything like the system Sullivan is used to in Green Bay, tight ends are vital. Whether it's a Luke Musgrave or Tucker Kraft type role, Dulcich fits. He is young, he has chemistry with the young quarterbacks, and he won't cost a fortune. He is my #1 retention priority. Target number 9 takes us to the secondary. Safety Andre Cisco from the New York Jets. This is a former Day 2 pick who had his season ended early with a torn pec. That injury is tragic for him, but it might be a blessing for Miami's wallet. It's not a knee or an ankle that saps his speed, it's a pec. He should be fully ready to go for camp. Cisco isn't the most consistent cover guy, but with the potential departure of Minkah Fitzpatrick, we are incredibly thin. We basically only have Dante Trader Jr. on the depth chart for next year. We need bodies, and we need talent. Cisco has starting experience and athleticism, and because he's coming off IR, we might be able to snag him on a prove-it deal to rebuild his value. And finally, target number 10. I'm not going to sugarcoat this one. This player has been bad. I mean really bad. Evan Neal from the Giants. The former top 10 pick has looked like one of the worst defensive linemen in football. He has been a bust. But he is also a former 7th overall pick out of Alabama with freakish physical tools. The Dolphins are going to be desperate for offensive line bodies. I mentioned how bad Jonas Savainia has been at times, and James Daniels is always an injury risk at guard. Could Evan Neal be worth a league minimum flyer? You aren't signing him to start. You are signing him to see if a change of scenery and new coaching can unlock even a fraction of that talent that made him a top prospect. There are worse options than taking a chance on a 25-year-old mountain of a man when you have no money to spend. This offseason is going to be a roller coaster of emotions. We are going to see favorite players cut, we are going to see bargain bin signings, and we are going to see a complete philosophical shift in how this team is built. Sullivan has his work cut out for him, but these 10 targets give us a blueprint for how we crawl out of this hole. We are going to be covering every single move, every cut, and every signing right here on the channel. Do not miss a second of this rebuild. Make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next video.